You want a fulfilling life, a life that's aligned with what's important to you, where what you do out in the world has a positive impact. Here is a really simple reflective tool to help you do that. Hey people, welcome back to my channel. I'm Roy, a coach and facilitator, helping to catalyze internal change for external impact. In coaching and personal development work, you are always trying to help your clients to get clarity on what they're stuck with, to a certain extent help them get out of their own way, and you use tools and frameworks to help you do that. And there are an endless number of tools and frameworks out there. Today I wanted to introduce you to a really simple tool to help you reflect on what's important to you, what you're doing right now, and what you might like to do in the future. And it's something that I call the VIA Compass. And like I say, it's both a reflection tool for championing where you're at right now, for thinking about what you might like to do and how you might like to get there. So why the VIA Compass? Well, VIA stands for the V for values, the I for intentions, and the A for actions. And I ended up calling it the VIA Compass partly because it's an acronym of those three words, but also VIA in Spanish, a language that I'm trying to learn, also means way or path, which I think is appropriate. So this model is built upon the work of Simon Sinek, who created something called the Golden Circle, which he presented in a now very famous TED Talk, which is all about helping companies and organizations align their values with what they do out in the world. So his model, the Golden Circle model, has three circles: why in the center, then how, and then what. With the why at the center being the company's purpose and their values, the how they actually function as an organization, and the what they actually do or produce out in the world. And after seeing this TED Talk many years ago and hearing about how it worked for companies, I started to see in my coaching work how it could also map onto lots of personal development stuff as well. So in my VIA Compass model, the center circle became values, so what's actually important to you and why. The second circle became your intentions, so if you were going to honor those values in terms of what you stood for, what your identity was, what would that look like? And then in the final circle was your actions. So if you were going to honor those values out in the real world by actually doing stuff, what stuff would you be doing? So why values at the center? Well, there are a bunch of different psychological models about how to create a more joyous and fulfilling life, but potentially one of the more well-known ones is something called acceptance and commitment theory, or therapy, or ACT as an acronym. At the core of acceptance and commitment therapy are three things: accepting your thoughts and emotions as they are, choosing a direction based on your values, and taking action. It's a theory I really resonate with and would love to explore more in a future video, but that is for another time. All that is to say, it is one of many models that looks at how to create a better life by putting values and taking action on those values at its center, at its core. So with that, how can this VIA Compass actually be used? Lots of different ways is the answer, and you could use it mostly as a reflection tool, or to look forwards, or to do both things at the same time. You could also create different compasses for compassi. In this example, I'm going to be mostly talking about being a dad and parenting, but you could also have it for your work, have it for your finances, have it for your relationships, whatever feels best for you. I would suggest starting with the center of the circle, with your values. And how do you decide upon your values? What does that even mean? Well, for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to suggest you could do something really simple called values mining. And essentially, it's where you have a bit of a think, have a bit of reflection about what's important to you. And you can do it simply by looking at some big lists of lots of different values. So you start off with this big list, and then you give yourself whatever amount of time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I wouldn't give yourself lots of time for this. You want this to be more instinctual rather than rational, and say, right, in the next 3 minutes, I'm going to pick 10 values that are most important to me. And then you do a second round. Okay, in the next 3 minutes, I'm going to knock this down to 5 values that are important to me. And then you do the same thing until you get 3 values. And if you want, you can take it all down to 1 core value. I would suggest you boil it down to a smaller number of values, just because that does help to bring clarity, and that's one of the points of this exercise. So if I was doing a live example with you now, I have done this activity. One of my core values would be joy. Okay, so now in the center, I've got joy, and maybe I've got a couple of other values. Taking joy as my example, if we moved out to the next circle and my intentions, I could start to think about what am I already doing in my life to honor this value? What else could I be doing in my life to honor this value? And then lastly, as a reflection, what do I need more of or less of to bring this value to life? So for me, using the example of joy and the example of being a dad, what could I do to honor that in my life? I get great joy from being in the presence of my daughter, and I think she gets genuine joy from being in my presence. Not all the time, obviously, but genuinely we do both enjoy each other's company. So I think there would probably be something around presence, around being as present as possible when we're in each other's company. So for me, I think I could honor that joy while being a parent by thinking about creating specific moments or experiences just for the two of us. If I was still thinking about joy, but this time maybe I had more of a work hat on and I was thinking about intentions around work rather than being a parent, I have recently come to the conclusion of how much joy I actually get from having deeper blocks of concentrated time working on things that I like to do. No big surprise, but I also recognize that just work admin gets in the way of that. So in terms of that question of more of, less of, I think it would be for me to have an intention of more of those concentrated blocks of quote unquote deep work, and trying to minimize where I can, though I know it's impossible, the kind of lightweight admin, all encompassing stuff that just comes with modern knowledge work. And then lastly, for actions. If you were going to take actions out in the world that would help to manifest those intentions and honor those values, what would those actions be? And this again is both a chance to reflect upon what you're already doing, but also then thinking about what you could additionally do or have more of, or again have less of. Again, for me, we went back to joy as being one of my core values, and we again went to being a parent as one of the things that I wanted to think about. What actions could I take out in the world that would line up both with my intentions and with that core value? Well, for me, just take it to a really small example. Me and my daughter have in the past often gone swimming at the weekends, just to our local pool here. But we've got out of the habit of doing that. We both super enjoy it, but it's just one of those things that's sort of gone by the wayside a bit. And doing this reflective exercise makes me think, actually, that is something that I would like to bring back into my life, to create some of those moments of one-on-one time with my daughter and to bring a little bit of that joy back in. The other thing doing this exercise reminds me is that a few years ago, I arranged for me and my daughter to do a crazy Harry Potter weekend full of lots of different things. I had wanted to do another one next year sometime and just not got around to organizing it, and doing this reflective exercise has made me think, actually, I know it would be a joyous experience. I know it would be just for me and my daughter. It's exactly the kind of thing that would both fulfill my intention and my value around joy, around being a parent, around spending time with my daughter. So why not pull my finger out and actually get out and do it and create the action out in the world? So that is something now for my list. Hope that's been of some use. Hope you might go off and create your own Via Compass like the one I've suggested, or something completely different. If you do, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.